I just saw you yesterday at the book release, Off the Map. I brought the box because I was talking to Dan about it yesterday, and I didn't realize that this much went into the layout. I know you guys had said, like, he's the architect, but I didn't realize that you guys were being for real about that. You know, I
Yeah.
thought you were just saying, oh, he's the guy that puts it together. I didn't realize it was like computer program, hand sketched, like,
Yep.
he goes out on the field.
Oh, he does. So he visits the site multiple times
Yeah.
and then starts using that program
Yeah.
to lay things out. And
Yeah,
it's very meticulous and it's very intentional.
Yeah, I was impressed. I talked to him about it for like a good probably 15 minutes, 20 minutes with my mom, and we were getting all into it. And and you can tell he did it for 30 years or something.
Yeah.
But I think especially for this particular use, I think he's just very, very passionate and excited about it. And
that's the thing, everybody involved in it really has their own area of where they have the most impact on the event.
Yeah.
And there's so much thought that goes into this.
Yeah.
Beyond what that's why Adam bristles at when anybody calls it a car show, because it's so much more than it's not that. You've been it, you've seen it. So it's really we originally called it a gathering.
Yeah.
And that's really what it's become, because it's always
I think
about,
that's more accurate.
Yeah, because it's people, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when I got home last night, we got home pretty late, but I probably got 10, 15 pages in actually reading, the material, like the actual book part of it, rather than just flipping to the photos and, but the photos are incredible. I mean, just, the quality and even the type of paper that it's printed on. And I mean, the book's like 424 pages, right? Is that
right?
What I read?
And over 900 photos.
I mean, it's incredible what you guys put into that. It's not just a first book just for the sake of getting it done, but I feel like you guys went above and beyond on this book. And I'm proud of it as a Chicago guy that's into Chicago car culture, that, is a Porsche guy now. At this point in my life, I'm very proud of that. And I feel like this is a piece of history that because of you guys, like, we're all able to experience and be a part of it. And it's really fulfilling,
So that's the first time I've ever had anything I've ever written that was published actually in a book. Mm-hmm. I've written for like trade magazines and stuff like that. Sure. But this book, so I started going through it 2 days ago when I first got it. Yeah. And I made it about 50 pages in, and I had to put it down because I started getting like emotionally, it really hit me emotionally because the thing about it is that all the people in this book since 2018, when we had the first event, mm-hmm. they have all become my best friends in my life. Yeah. It's kind of unusual for people after 50 to develop friendships that get so deep. Yeah, absolutely. Especially that many. It might be a couple, and that's a rarity. Yeah. Much less a whole group of people. Yeah. So I feel like one of the most fortunate people that I have had all these people come in my life and had such an impact and be able to contribute to something like this. Yeah, I do have kind of a sidebar question for you real fast that I was going to ask you later, but you're already kind of there. Yeah. So, and we can get into your other career, a little bit later, but what I was going to ask you is, what do you think is the stark difference or the major difference between the people that are in this group that you become best friends with because of this project versus, say, you're 30 years in a different career, sure, or other aspects of your life? And that's not to say that we're devaluing, your other colleagues from the past or other great friends you have, but this closeness, like you just had mentioned, with this many people, and everyone's so equally passionate and excited and so invested in this, is kind of odd. So what do you think was the major difference that you notice with those people and that allowed it to happen? Sure. It's actually pretty easy. For my first 30 years of my actual career, my first career was at the Chicago Board Trade. I was a trader and I was a broker. I went through several different roles there. Sure. It was a great place to work. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Yeah. Very fortunate to have had that career. Sure. But that place in that business was very transactional in every sort of way. Got it. So at the end of the day, it was how much money did you make? I mean, even though when I was a broker, I was representing big companies that actually do feed the world. Yeah. And that was kind of cool as a young guy to be associated with that.
Yeah.
It still came down to how much money did you make? Yeah. And the relationships were much more transactional because it was, do you have some information that I can use? And then we'll trade information. And if you don't really have anything to benefit me, I'm probably not going to talk to you, right? Mm-hmm. This group of people, it's the opposite of that. Mm. It's what can I bring to the group? How can I enrich your life? How can is there something that you need that I can bring to the table? Yeah. And that's how everybody in this group really feeds off of each other. Yeah. So it's much more really genuine connections. Sure. Yeah. Like I'm a bunch of these people will hopefully be at my funeral. Yeah. Because I'm the anybody from the board at my funeral, right? Yeah. So it's really a different kind of a completely different kind of relationship that's based on really the shared passion of things that the cars brought us initially together. Yeah. But then everything else in our lives like cemented this relationship.
Yeah, I can see that. And I think even with the gym, while you're explaining this, I'm kind of like, daydreaming a little bit about similarities here that I've noticed. And, we've been in the business basically 11 years now, I guess. And I'm sure you can relate to this, but there's been times where we had to really focus on the brass tacks, getting ahead, grinding harder, making more money, and all that. And all that's great because it allows you to survive. It allows you to continue. It gives you options to do things when you need to do those things. Yeah. But after a while, you start feeling really thin. Yeah. You start feeling very like a little bit lost because you're getting away from the initial reason that the entire thing set out to be in the first place. And so occasionally when I notice that, I feel that a little bit, I've learned now to pull back and invest more into my friends here, the people I work with. What do they need? What do they want to do? Where are we going as a group? Yeah. And we're not losing that other part because you have to have it. But that to me has been probably one of the biggest lessons that I've learned, say in the last 4 or 5 years, that has made this quite a bit better. Yeah. I wouldn't say it's easier because it's definitely not easy, but it's made it just so much more enjoyable and fulfilling. And it feels like we're actually doing something meaningful. And that's how we started out. That was all we had in the beginning. Yeah. We didn't have anything. Yeah. Just a couple buddies and a few pieces of equipment. Sure.
It's ironic that you say that what you just said, because you said 11 years. So we just passed our 11th year with Midwest Performance Groups, which was my second career. Yeah. Which I started because my first career was really ending. Yeah. I mean, the trading floors where I worked, all went computerized. I didn't want to go up in an office and just click on a mouse. Sure. So to me, it was a good time to retire from that career. And I was a customer of this shop and found out that it was going under. It was a one location shop. And I always had in the back of my mind, there was some low hanging fruit that and it was kind of a fantasy because I was like, I'm never going to own an auto repair shop. But if I did, here's the things I would do to improve this operation. Yeah, sure. And then it just so happened that the stars aligned and the opportunity presented itself and I acquired it and did a turnaround on it. And like you said, the first few years were really concentrated on survival, right? Making payroll, making it to next year. Yeah. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you start with in a business. Business is hard. Yeah. And entrepreneurship is hard. Yeah. But the hard things are what make things worthwhile. Yeah.
That's the payoff.
Right. So getting through those first few years and surviving and making payroll and then getting the right people in place and building the business, opening the second location, opening the third location, but then being able to get to the point where you can focus on what you said, on developing the people in your organization, where when you start concentrating on getting opportunities to them and watching them advance and get ahead. Yeah. I mean, that is to me, that's the huge payoff in business. It's not an eventual buyout and retiring on a beach. Sure. It's seeing people, like I've seen people get married, have kids, buy houses, buy cars. Yeah. One of our guys walked in at 19 years old and just asking for a job. He started sweeping. Now he's one of our top Porsche technicians in our Chicago downtown shop. And he's got 2 kids and a house.
Yeah, it's that opportunity.
Yeah. And to have someone who's 24 years old come up and say, Yeah, I'm closing on my house next week.
Yeah.
It's just like, wow, that is so. It's
Yeah.
just such a great feeling,
Yeah.
and more power to them. But just trying to be able to provide opportunities for people.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's the greatest thing in life.
Oh,
really.
yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's great, and it's nice to see someone have that pathway in front of them where there was maybe there was a few less obstacles in the
Mhm.
way because you were able to kind of carve around that or kind of direct them on how to get there. Obviously, they're doing all the work, the
Sure.
stuff, but it's nice to be able to like make it not seem impossible for that person where they're
Right.
like, hey, if you just show up every day, and you have an open mind and
Yeah.
you work hard and you just want to be better, you want to try to better this place, there's a way to get there.
Yeah.
And then it makes you want to do more. 'Cause
Sure.
you're like, well, that guy's busting his butt. I want to keep up with him now,
Yeah.
like he's hustling. Now he makes me want to hustle in a different way,
Right.
and it's a nice kind of like, I don't know, sort of rebound effect.
Well, that feel for me, I'm no fan. I'm not blowing my own horn. Somebody did that for me when I was 23 at the Board of Trade. A guy that I worked for in a relationship that started off transactional because I worked for him.
Yeah.
And then it became a personal relationship. We became friends.
Yeah.
And then when I was 23 years old, he presented me with an opportunity that really changed the course of my life and set that 30-year career in motion.
Yeah.
And that was a life-changing opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
It was good for him. It was amazing for me.
Sure.
That friend is also godfather in my daughter.
Oh.
So it is a very long-term relationship, but it is one of those ones that started out transactional, became personal and much deeper.
Yeah.
But what he did for me when I was 23, to be able to return any of that later on in life,
it's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's nice, like having the roles flipped and you're like, oh, it's awesome. Like I remember being you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, it's nice when someone does that for you. And, it's just like kind of the full circle thing. And, so how did you originally get into that line of work? Did you go to school for it? And then like, how did you end up, at the Board of Trade?
Sure.
And how did all that begin? Like, what was the starting steps to that?
Sure. So kind of funny way to get in. I was saving for college for myself. My dad worked for the city of Chicago for 40 years, raised me and my two sisters.
Put us all through Chicago.
He was for the water department. He was a water meter reader.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. My dad was he was a lot of things, a fire chief, but he was also a maintenance operator.
Really?
He worked on the water department as well. So
yeah. So it's
I know that life for sure.
Right. So he started actually right after he came out of World War II and took the civil service exam. Got a job as a bridge tender when the bridges used to be manned 24/7, and did a year there, and then put in to transfer to the water department.
Gotcha.
But like at the most a $30,000 salary, he put me and my two sisters through Catholic grade school and high school. Right.
Yeah.
So when it was time to go to college, and my dad was older, I am like, I'm not going to put college tuition on his back. I got to do it myself. Right. So I had saved up a bunch of money, started going to UIC downtown.
Yeah.
I was going for engineering.
Okay.
And so I went through my first year, and by the end of the first year, I needed to get some more money. So my older sister had always wanted to work at the Board of Trade, but she never did. She knew a guy who worked down there, and she said, I can get you a job over the summer as a runner. I'm like, great. So I go down there as a runner. I mean, absolute bottom rung of the ladder in that business. And I was working there for about 3 weeks, and I was like, this is what I want to do.
Yeah. Was it just the excitement, or
it was intense, exciting? It was like a hub for information from all over the world, all converged on the trading floors.
Back as an international
before the internet.
In like little old Midwest Illinois, Chicago's to a lot of people seemingly like a big city, but we really know that it's more of a small town with a big city, like architecture and layout kind of thing, but that'd probably be pretty exhilarating to just be in the middle of that.
It was, and
you're probably freaking out in a really good way, right?
Yeah. It was so exciting. And then after I was there for a few months, I was looking around, I started seeing some of the people who were successful. And honestly, I was thinking to myself, if that guy can make it, I can make it down here, or at least have a shot.
Sure.
So I switched my major to finance, and I kept the job when when fall semester started, I started going in the afternoons and evenings to UIC. And I went through my sophomore year, and then I realized there's nothing I'm learning in finance that's going to be applicable here.
Yeah.
I can learn it on the trading.
Sure, it makes sense.
Being in here. Yeah. So then I dropped out of college.
It's such a hyper-focused, like specific type of work.
Yeah. And that's, and we'll get to this later on, but I have a whole thing about the value of college.
Yeah. I went to school too, and kind of.
Yeah. I mean, unless you're going for hard science, like you're going to be an astrophysicist or a rocket scientist.
Yeah.
College is really more about your network.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You come out with a network, but there's a whole bunch of different ways to build a network. And I built it at the Board of Trade. So I was a runner for about a year and a half. I went up to this guy who was a broker, and I knew his guy was leaving. And I said, hey, I've been down here. I've been working for this company. I'd like you to consider me. I know you're. So you brought it up to him? I brought it up to him. He was like,
"Good for you, man."
He was like, "Okay, yeah." And he was kind of absent-minded. He was like, "Okay, yeah." It was at the end of the day, and he said, "Yeah, okay, I'll talk to you."
Yeah.
And so I walked away.
Sure.
Like 2 weeks later, I'm walking by the trading pit, and this guy goes, "Hey, can you start Monday?" and so I said, I got to ask the company, and the company was like, yeah, go ahead. You're a runner.
Sure.
There's more.
We'll find another runner.
So I started working for this guy as a clerk. I clerked for him for about 2 years.
Okay.
This is the guy who gave me that opportunity.
Yeah.
We quickly developed this relationship where it was like almost telepathic. Like he would turn around to get something, I'd be handing him what he needed because I really watched out for him.
I love that.
Yeah.
Because it's strange to explain how to create that relationship, but it's just, paying attention to the little things.
Yeah.
Understanding the vibe and the speed of the day or like what's going on, and just always being willing to adjust to try to make things work a little bit easier.
Yeah.
If the other person's doing that too, then you just get in this weird flow state where
that's
you're
exactly
finishing each other's sentences, but in physical motion,
right?
Not just saying things, but
And one of the things about being a broker in that, especially when the markets are crazy, you've got a lot of things going on.
Yeah.
So if you can have another brain like doing your work for you. Yeah. So I anticipated.
Yeah.
And it wasn't rocket science. It was just being anticipated. And he's going to need this, and boom, I was always there.
Yeah.
So I think he really appreciated the way I worked.
Yeah.
And then I came to the point where I had saved up enough money. I wanted to take a shot trading on my own.
Yeah.
And so I gave him notice. I said, hey, I'm going to leave. I'm going to go off and try trading. And he was like, great, And I traded for about 6 months, and I was starting to make some money. When he called me up, it was at the end of 87, beginning of 88. And we had this really crazy weather pattern.
Okay.
And he said, I think we're going to have a huge market. We were in soybeans, like this esoteric kind of thing, right? I was always on
esoteric,
right?
Yeah.
People don't realize how much soybeans really form the basis of our food chain.
Yeah.
But so he said that we're going to have this huge market coming up, and I don't want to do this portion of my business anymore. I want to break it off. Would you want to come back and do it? And honestly, I said to him, let me think about it.
This was the original guy who got
the original guy.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. And because the thing was, I was 20, going to turn 23 that year.
Sure.
And I had to commit to signing a lease for a Board of Trade seat for $6,000 a month.
Okay.
And I also had to come up with $50,000 to deposit into my account just as security. Like in case I blew up.
Yeah.
So the trading firm wouldn't have to eat it.
Yeah.
So I had to borrow a lot of money. I had to borrow over $100,000. And I did. I had some money saved up. I had to borrow about $75,000. My dad was a big part of that.
Sure.
Guy with he lent me a chunk of his net worth.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, I'm young. If I don't make it, I can get 3 jobs and work it off and pay everybody.
Yeah.
That's the time to take risks. So I did.
Absolutely.
And I started July of 1988 as a broker. The first 6 months, I paid all my bills, made a little bit of money, and then really kind of took off from there and built that brokerage business up into something really substantial.
Yeah.
Did that for 10 years, had hired clerks working for me, and it was a great career, but I was in that position of, I saw where technology was going to overtake what I was doing.
Yeah.
And I had to expand my skill set. So I passed my deck off to somebody else. I went over to the Chicago Board Options Exchange and learned options theory. And I started trading options for a firm over there. Did that for a few years. The option business changed radically. I went back to the board of trade and started trading for myself. In the last 8 years at the board, I just traded for my own account, and I had a great career. It was just a hell of a lot of fun. But beyond making money and what it provided me and my family, the greatest thing about my board of trade time was the fact that I got home at 3 o'clock every day, and I was able to be in my kids' lives. Because I coached Little League for 10 years. I coached AYSL soccer for like 6 years. And being able to be at home for the kids, that was the most valuable thing. Because now I got 3 grown kids who are really good people.
Yeah, and that's hard because, you know, a lot of people have to just make that choice, and the choice isn't even really, it's not even really a choice. They just have to do what they have to do. And then, you know, it's like no one's really happy with it, but you got to have a roof over your head. You got to have food, you know, and sometimes, you know, maybe you can do that when you retire, but then you don't have much time after you retire, you know, and then your kids have their own kids, their own jobs, their own lives, and it's just like that.
And you miss that whole thing. So
that's pretty great that you're able to get out of there. And
I make no bones about the fact that I am extremely fortunate.
Weirdly enough, I was talking to one of my clients that I was training this week about doing the podcast with you, and I was kind of just giving the rundown on like, you know, how we sort of met and, you know, how all this came about. And I told him what your background was with trading. And he actually asked me an interesting question that I had to ask you. And basically what it was is that he was curious, because he grew up in Nebraska. And so he was like, you know, when you watch the nightly news, the thing that you see are like the futures on agricultural stocks on the news, you know, more so there than anywhere else. So he was curious how things have changed in the stock market or with futures, or just kind of a big bubble question with agriculture, say now versus, you know, when him and I were kids in the 80s and 90s and things like that. Like, we're just trying to get an understanding of where agriculture was then and where it's going now. And maybe the technology is a part of that. I'm not sure.
It's definitely a part of it. Those markets have become so much more efficient, not necessarily more transparent, because now they're all computerized. So you don't know on the other side of that computer who you're dealing with.
I see.
But it's enabled the markets to do like 100 times the volume that they used to do when it was just based on the floor.
I see.
Just because on the floor it was manual.
Gotcha.
Even when we brought computer assisted augmentation into it, it was still a manual process.
I see.
So it sped up the markets a lot. Again, maybe not as transparent. But one of the things that we saw in the ag world was all these, you know, family farms going to gigantic industrial and conglomerates, you know, farming.
Makes sense.
But it's funny because now you see that shifting back away, especially with RFK and getting all these like poisonous things out of our food chain and our food supply, with people looking more and more, where's the family ranch, the family farm that I can buy from? Right? My wife is like, we got to get our chickens because we can't buy eggs in the grocery store anymore. And I'm like, okay, well,
I've even noticed it in our own neighborhood, you know, because a decade ago, me and generally everyone else that I knew, you know, maybe 10, 15 years ago, I guess more accurate, but me and pretty much everyone else I knew, it wasn't such an important thing to go to Whole Foods. Or Mariano's, which is like, you know, a little step under that. But you know what I'm talking about. It wasn't that big of a deal. It was pretty common for everyone to go to Jewel, or, you know, I guess if you live over by a Walmart or whatever, but those like just random grocery stores that, you know, they have what they have. You know, it's
not much choice.
It's not anything. They're not really looking at quality. You know, they're not really thinking like long-term health. You know, they're not really promoting that. It's more just about how much they make, right? So fast forward to now, me and mostly everyone I know, at least in this gym, and I feel like just throughout the city, it's really important that people shop at the right stores, you know, and I see it being so much more of a focus at this point, and it never was really like that in the past. And one grocery store that I go to specifically that I'm friends with two of the owners is called Agora Market on Western. I don't know if you're familiar with that or not.
No, I've driven by it.
I wasn't alive in the, 40s, 50s, 60s or whatever, but to me, that's what I would imagine a grocery store being like back then, where it was about the people, which is, kind of, funny for what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And then also the quality of the food is extremely high. Obviously, it's more expensive.
Right.
So that's the downside.
Right.
But to me, I'd rather spend my money there and save elsewhere than to.
I mean, you're talking about maintaining your body. It's like the only one you have, and it's going to have a limited life. We know, so why not? Yeah,
yeah. So I could see that, and it's a much bigger deal now, and I feel like to your point about things kind of going the other way. I think people are starting to realize like, okay, life is so fast paced.
Yeah.
It's so cloudy now because we're on our phones so much, we're on the computers, there's so much information, and we're trying to be so efficient these days that, if every day, I'm sure you feel the same way. Every day feels like, to me, it goes by in like 5 or 6 hours.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't feel like a full day anymore.
Let me tell you, that increases with age. I think you're about 20, 25 years younger than me. It speeds up tremendously.
So it's not going to get any better.
It doesn't. The only way, though, you just got to get more. You got to get more intentional about your time. Yeah.
I got you. Yeah. But yeah, so I could see it kind of going that way, and I would imagine the volume too of the trades and how quick things are. I'm sure it's just like blown up as far as.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the exchanges, the volume of actual stocks, the notional volume of the trading is it's huge. And they're all public companies now, they're public stocks. So that whole world is gone away. Yeah. But it's kind of funny how we used to think, because in the 80s and 90s, I mean, the late 80s and 90s were a great time. I
would imagine.
They were a great time.
I mean, at this point, we're like, like people my age and even younger people are starting to rip off like the clothing styles, the culture. And, because I think people are realizing, even if they weren't of age at that point, that it was a pretty rad period of time.
Yeah, it was a hell of a lot of fun.
The
cars were great. We got through that horrible 70s cars were just so, the domestic cars were such a joke.
Yeah.
But how the trend went from the 80s and 90s about building bigger, corporations get really big. The bigger, the better.
Yeah.
And how we're turning back, I think, more towards the individual businesses, the individual companies. I mean, like, I would never, this place, it's personalized, the people here. I have a gym down in Dallas.
Yep.
We love this little gym that we go to. And I would never want to go to a chain.
Yeah.
Gym. It's just, it's totally different. I know all the people.
Exactly.
This is the value of those personal connections.
Yeah.
And it's getting back. We got to talk about networks.
Sure. Yeah.
But these personal connections, these people in this book, the things that are some of the most valuable things in life.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I did have a question for you about Midwest Performance, but we'll come back to that in a second.
Sure.
In the book, the first, like I said, 15 pages I got through last night, I saw there was sort of the explanation how you guys got the name of Checked It Out.
Right. So I had never met Karsten Aufgebauer.
Yeah.
Was a guy that he had a G-body Porsche 911. And he and Adam met through Instagram, and I don't know if they actually physically met. I think they have physically met once.
Yeah.
I never physically met him.
Sure, yeah.
But they used to. Karsten had a very heavy German accent, and when he would say to his wife he wanted to go to a Cars and Coffee or something, he couldn't say I want to go check out cars. He would say, I want to go checked it out cars. and that name, that's where the name came from. So Karsten and Adam had spoken about putting together a car event that was in Chicago.
Yeah.
Because all these events a lot of times are out in the suburbs.
Yeah.
But doing something that's uniquely urban and in Chicago.
Yep.
And unfortunately, before they could ever do that, Karsten succumbed to cancer. So I met Adam in January of 2018.
Yeah.
And he mentioned it to me. He had another guy, John Westra, who was on board. And he mentioned it to me, would you want to be involved with this? I was like, yes.
Absolutely.
Because I had one shop in the city.
Yeah.
And that's where it all, so I was like number 3 on board, and then Dan came after that.
Yeah.
And we just started this thing and put it together. And September of 2018 was the first event with 70 cars.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of the launch of it. But it all came out of this idea between Adam and Karsten.
Yeah.
And the name came from Karsten's inability to correctly pronounce, I'm going to check out cars.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah, it's great.
When I read that, I mean, it was pretty heartbreaking, you know, because I think I read the text message, the picture of the text message first, you know, and then as I was reading the explanation, I wasn't really expecting to see the end of that, you know what I mean? Like, and I was also wondering, I was like, I wonder which guy that guy is, you know, I didn't realize that, you know, he wasn't around. And then I also read the part that I think maybe it was Adam explaining that. I'm not sure who it was, but basically explaining that he passed the name around to a few friends, and the friends were like, I don't know, you know, and then he said, no, he's like, I knew in my gut that I needed to stick with it, especially because of where it originated from. And I just sat there at my kitchen table, and, you know, I wasn't on my phone, there's no music, and I just like looked out the window, and I was like, damn, and it hit me pretty hard, man, you know, and I'm only 10 pages or so into the book.
So see what I mean? I mean, it is, you know, so there's a sadness aspect to it, but you know what? That's life. The sadness is part of life.
Yeah.
But it really it gives a meaning of the event, the organization, everything. It gives it a deeper meaning.
Well, it says a lot about you guys too, to be like, hey, this guy, like he is the reason, you know, like he's the one that kind of got everything rolling, and you guys are paying respect to him in the book, you know, and I think that's pretty great. And as I got a little bit farther through there, I started kind of looking at some of the photos, and I saw, like, you know, you have your section where you're kind of writing about it, and so does Adam, and then Dan, and then Adam Hurlbert,
right?
You know, and I didn't get too far through there because it got late, but, you know, can you give me kind of a, you know, brief explanation of, like, you know, your part in there, or just parts that are important to know about in the book for someone that hasn't looked through it yet?
So every year is broken out for what occurred, the big event of that year, whether it's the actual event. The COVID year has a special, you know, there's some special things about that.
I did see that about the field.
Yeah.
The family.
So that was a scramble. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And that was a really super unique happening. So there's a foreword written for every year. And I wrote Adam asked me to write the foreword of year 1.
Yeah.
And I was like really humbled to be asked.
Yeah.
And really happy to contribute. So you can read about, basically it'll give you the layout of what that year was and what it meant to the person who's writing that foreword.
Yeah.
But one of the really unique things about our event and about just our whole ethos is all those photographs are from just people who showed up to take photographs. Some of them professional photographers, some of them amateurs on their way to becoming pros, but they were all invited and welcomed into. We want to see, give me your shot of this event.
Yeah, I could see that.
So Adam has he made up a great sticker. I love this sticker. It says, no membership offered, or no membership required nor offered. So it's like, there is no membership. There's no sign up fee to be part of Checked It Out.
Yeah.
This is a completely voluntary, and everybody going in and kind of contributing their part, which I think is just so cool, because it's extremely non-exclusive.
It's funny because it sounds like fine print. It sounds like something you would read. Like, it's formal, it's comedic, and that actually, I don't know Adam like very well, but from the X amount of times I've been around him, that is kind of his personality. Is he's extremely formal / dry, but then very funny, and possibly like will surprise you. You know?
Very deadpan. Well, he's a really unique guy. In that he is in the Ironworkers Union. His day job is estimating rebar work, but he has a degree in fashion design.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Man, you didn't know that?
I'm gonna have to get into that with him. That's wild.
I just I find that just so interesting, because my own wife has a degree in fashion design.
Okay, gotcha.
So do not judge her by this, right?
You're doing your own.
Yeah, right. This is my podcast.
Katie tries to get me to dress a certain way, and it's a struggle. So
the sooner I started just saying to my wife, yes, I'll wear that. She picks out all my clothes now.
Yeah.
It's
better that way.
It's better that way. Yeah.
That's crazy about Adam. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's great. Also not surprising though on one hand. Like I'm like, okay, I could see that guy having that.
Well, and he's very into music. He's very conscious of culture.
Yeah. He is a music buff, man. When I was podcasting with him before, not the podcast we did, Checked It Out, the one we did here, I was making mental notes of artists he was talking about while we were podcasting because I knew 1 out of like 10 that he mentioned, you know, and they were all over the place. Like every genre you could possibly imagine. I was like, dude, this guy's we're just randomly chatting on a podcast, not about music.
Yeah. There's depth. Adam's got some depth. Yeah. That doesn't come out until you really get to know him. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but it's great, like thumbing through there and seeing all those parts and just, the photos and even being from someone that, I don't know, I've probably been to like 5 of the Checked It Outs maybe. This year was the first year I put my car in it, which I'm like, why was I waiting so long? Like I think part of it was that, I wanted to be like, I had to make sure that I felt comfortable there or something. And then the other part of it, I was like, my car had to be like a certain degree of whatever,
Does not have to be.
That's bullshit. That does not matter at all. Because now that I've been enough of those and I've actually been a part of one, I realized that I was like totally confused about all that. But my favorite part about it was like being there was seeing all the people who were doing media, but it didn't feel fake. It didn't feel forced. It didn't feel weird. They were just around taking photos. Like I'm sure you've been to maybe a party at one point where they had a couple of photographers where you kind of forget they're there. It was that kind of thing,
Yes.
And there was a ton of them all over the place. And it was a lot of phones, a lot of really nice cameras, expensive ones, some whatever cameras, like, and it's just like, it's nice. And then my favorite part about it too, and I think this is what makes the book so good, is that the explosion you see on social media for the next 45 days, maybe even like, I mean, I've still even seen it with you guys posting stuff even in the last like month, and that was in August.
So I'm always split between, should I post it on the business page or my personal page? Because it is really personal to me.
But
tough, I like to use it for business to promote the business.
I get
as well.
Split all the time. I get selfish and I'm like, nah, man, I want to post that on my own. This is my shit. And I'm like, well, it really should be on the gyms or whatever. But it's nice to see that documented in the book because, you might miss a story or you might not follow a person or something like that posts some really great photo from that event.
Yeah.
So it's nice to actually have it like listed and I can go through it and look. And I actually remember seeing a lot of those cars at different events per year, not just this year, but like I remember like 22. I remember seeing that yellow car or whatever, So it's nice
coming back.
Yeah, it's like refreshing your memory,
And one of the things that we really, because we're all drivers.
Yeah.
And we really like to see these cars driven.
Yeah.
I have such a hard time when a car rolls up and it's got 9,000 miles on it and it's 15 years old. It's like, what are you saving it for? So all my cars are all over 100,000 miles.
Yeah.
And I just want to book
I got some work to do, man. I don't think. Well, my old one is definitely past 100. That's just the nature of the car. But I have another car that's not past 100, so I'll work on that.
Yeah. Well, there's this guy. There's this guy who has a 75. I believe it's 75 turbo. He's up in Washington State. He's like 80. He's in his 80s, and he's got like the highest mileage turbo I think in the world.
Yeah. I saw that guy like 1 million miles.
Yeah, he's working towards 1 million. He's not quite there yet.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
that is nuts.
Yeah, but he uses it as a daily driver.
Yeah, he was explaining like the engine, the engine work, the transmission work. Like it's like 4 and 5.
And you can. That's the thing about the air-cooled 911 era. You can just keep rebuilding the engine as long as you take care of the car. It will virtually last forever.
It's pretty cool.
It is really cool.
Yeah. You don't always have that option depending on what the car is because, you might get that vehicle to the point where you want to rebuild it, but then the value of the car is so low that the rebuild, supersedes it by 20 grand or something like that. The value has to be to you. Yeah. And those cars, like, I feel like they keep their value and then you also have your personal connection to it, So.
A lot of my friends have heard this story. My first Porsche I ever bought in 2005 was an 88 turbo.
88 911?
911 turbo.
Damn.
I stepped right into it, right?
Wow.
Because I test drove one at all places of a Toyota dealership. Had one on the lot.
That's insane.
And I know. It was a Toyota.
That's a very 80s story. Like you probably wouldn't find a 911 turbo on a Nissan lot these days.
Right?
That's
real, but this was back when those turbos were in the 30s.
Gotcha.
30,000.
Gotcha.
Right?
Yeah. So they were maybe considered like a I don't know. Like,
it was a little bit, but you could also buy a regular G body, an 83 911. You could get it for under 30. You can get it in the 20s.
Yeah.
So
that was like a mid-level car.
Yeah. So this goes back to me finding Midwest performance cars.
Okay.
I called this guy, the old owner of the business.
Yeah.
And I introduced myself and I said, hey, can you mind if I just stop in and I'm thinking about buying a car. I want to talk to you. He's like, yeah, come on in. He's a really great guy. He wasn't great at running a business, but he was a really good person.
Yeah.
And he still is a good person. I still keep in touch with him.
Yeah.
So I come in and I was originally looking to buy a Ferrari 308.
Okay.
The Magnum PI car. Just because it's such a iconic design.
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, right? And because you could get those for like in the high 20s.
Yeah.
So I said that, I introduce myself, we're talking, I tell him that, and he said, yeah, if you want to buy a car to take the cars and coffee and sit in your garage, buy the Ferrari. But if you want a car to drive, buy a 911.
Yeah.
And he was 100% right.
Gotcha.
Then he said, but don't buy a turbo because it's not a good car for like around town and stuff like that. So of course, what do I do?
Do you like the unpredictability of it?
No, just the tractability. Because off the line, the old turbos are kind of slow.
Oh, yeah.
And then they get really violent.
Yeah.
When the turbo boost kicks in. Yeah. So of course, I find this red 88 turbo on a Toyota lot.
Sure.
And I take it for a test drive and I'm like, I can't have less than this.
Yeah.
So I didn't buy that one, but I ended up buying one from this architect out in Denver, flew out with my 9-year-old son to Denver, picked it up and drove back to Chicago.
Yeah.
Great.
That's a good story.
Yeah. Got one speeding ticket on the way back. That was it.
Just to christen the car.
Yeah. At 85, but I had been doing over 100 before that. So I was lucky. Right?
Yeah, that's fair.
So I have this car. This is 2006 and I have it for about 4 years. And it's getting up to about in the 65,000 miles. And I'm starting to get like nervous about driving it because it's gone up in value. I bought it for 34 grand.
And
now they're going towards about 40.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, I don't want to drive. I'm afraid to get hit.
Yeah.
So I sell it.
Okay.
For 38,000, make 4,000 on it. I sell it to the Lithuanian ambassador to the UN in Geneva, Switzerland. He found it online and he bought it. He ships it to Geneva.
Okay.
He takes it back to Lithuania where he gets stationed back in Lithuania.
All right.
And then a few years ago, he gets stationed permanently in New York and brings it to New York with him. So that car's in New York now.
That's crazy.
But the lesson in it is 18 months after I sold it, it was trading for 100,000 over what I sold it for.
Oh, man.
Yeah, they shot up like around 2010.
Wow.
They shot up above 100 grand.
Especially with that kind of mileage.
Yeah. I mean, if I would have held on to it, So the lesson that taught me was just don't worry about the value of the car.
Yeah.
Buy the car if you want to drive it, enjoy it, and whatever it's worth, it's worth.
Yeah, wherever you end up.
Invest your money somewhere else. But So that's why we're really about driving. Because a lot of the experiences and a lot of the people that we've met have all been through drives.
Yeah, when I came out to the Toys for Tots charity event you guys had, that was a snowy day. That was a real snowy day. And all morning I was kind of debating. I was like, because I have a big ass, like older Dodge truck. You know? And I was like, take the truck out there. It's more comfortable. I don't have to like mess around with the weather and, the whole thing. And I was like, yeah, but you said you were going to drive your car. That's what I told myself. And I was telling my friends, I'm like, I don't care what it does. I'm driving the car. So it took me like a half hour to shovel the Cayman out of the garage, and I got it out of the little alley, into the main road. And then I drove over to where you guys were at. And you know that the roads sometimes by your shop, when it's snowing, they can be like a little treacherous.
They're sketchy.
as I get over by the shop, I started seeing all these like normal cars that are stuck, not like trying to get out of their parking spot, but they were stuck.
Yeah.
And they were sitting higher than my car, my Cayman, So I did no stop signs for like a month.
Right. Do what you got to do. Sunday morning is
I was just blasting through little like snow berms, and whatever I got there. And you guys already headed out. So then I, got on 290 at some point and started heading out there. And I actually pulled over on 290 like 3 or 4 times because I had so much snow on my wheels and my brake calipers. Yeah. And my wheel wouldn't stay straight. So I kept pulling over in the hood just to like bang it out with my ice scraper.
Yeah.
And then when I got out by, is it Westmont? Is that?
Hinsdale.
Hinsdale.
Yeah.
When I got out by there, the roads were incredible. So I was.
Yeah. Hinsdale seems to be able to snow plow their roads, but Chicago can't.
Chicago can't do it for shit, man.
Yeah.
I was going, and then the rest of that event was great, but I was so happy I took the car. And then I came back to the city, washed it, drove to the garage. It was basically trash by the time I got back to the garage, but I made an attempt.
Yeah.
But when I shut the garage door, I was like, I don't really care what happens to that car because I have a good memory.
Yeah.
I kind of went off-road.
That's what it's all about.
And went and brought toys to the event, and that's really what the whole importance is of it. So
that's like our most fun event.
Yeah.
People really get into it. And we were just blown away by how many people showed up.
That turnout it did not make sense for how bad the weather was.
Yeah.
I took a full 360 and posted it because I was like, how is there 400 people here?
I put up a video with Reno Birdie on the street.
Yeah.
And I posted it on our page, and like hundreds and hundreds of likes, and people were just, I can't believe all the cars. I can't believe with the weather and everything. But it's really a testament to what the Chicago car culture and what people are important. They're not going to sit at home and say, it's snowing, I'm not going to go.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's kind of our signature. I think that's our namesake, like what we're about. I think that's what makes us stand out from other cities, other car cultures, is that it's not super convenient. It's not easy. We don't have like this big, group of people like California, right? So we're actually like building it slowly but surely.
Yeah.
And I think that I don't know, I feel like really proud to be a part of this crew versus like where it's a little bit easier to make it happen, where it's already established.
It's very Chicago.
Yeah.
I mean, Chicago's
true. That's true.
Chicago's such a place.
That's why I like it. It just feels like it's like
it's extreme.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the most fun things in life are when you hit the extremes.
That's true.
I mean, Chicago is extremely great in summer.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of the best places in the world.
It's amazing. I try not to travel like as much as I can. I think here the whole time.
And during the winter, it's extremely rough.
Yeah, it is. Right? It will challenge you. It will make you prove whether or not you have a strong constitution or not.
Yeah. Yeah. In Chicago, and I always used to be so proud of the fact that people would ask me where I'm from. I'm like, I'm from Chicago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
absolutely.
we're just, we just put up, we can deal with it.
Yeah, I agree. And I wanted to ask you something earlier when you're talking about buying Midwest Performance, the shop from the previous owner. Like, how scary was that for you taking a business, that was struggling, that was not doing good, that, was in the red or, whatever, and then revamping it, coming up with your own brand and essentially like getting that tarnish off of that business.
So that was
that shop, and I feel like that's a steep climb, and I just wanted to ask you like what was going through your brain when.
So the shop previously, they always had good reviews. They were in a good location. My car always came back late and dirtier than when I went in. And I'm
gotcha.
like, those are two real easy fixes, right?
Yeah.
So they had no processes in place at all. So that's kind of an easy thing to bring is process, just basic process. And then they didn't have the right people, and it took years to get the right people in those places. One of the guys is still with me, who was there before I even owned it. So,
and he's still with?
He's one of my co-owners.
Wow. Oh, wow. Okay, guys.
So I have 3 co-owners.
Okay, guys.
A couple of years ago, I sold chunks of the business to 3 of my younger guys.
Okay.
That was the big payback of when I was 23.
And who are the co-owners?
Brandon Ludwikowski.
Okay.
That was the guy.
I've seen him.
There,
I've seen him on the gram, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Chris Lum.
Okay.
And Ryan Virgilio.
Okay, gotcha. All right.
So 3 great guys, real complementary skills.
Yep.
But I that was kind of my succession plan.
Yeah.
Was getting these guys into ownership and put them in a position where they could build some wealth.
Yeah.
Right. So a lot of my work is basically advising them and coaching them up.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
That's a great shift in your, I'm sure you do other things too, but I'm sure it's a nice shift in your duties.
Yeah.
Where your like role at your business, is like the, mentoring or being there, or like helping make decisions. There's influence and.
But going back to when I started, first of all, my accountant, my CPA had been doing my taxes forever. When I told him my plans, he was like, "You're crazy." It's like, you're going to buy an auto repair shop from trading? So everybody thought I was nuts. I think my wife probably thought I was nuts too, but she was like, she's learned, if I get an idea, let me run with it.
Yeah.
But it was really just kind of basic business. And that's the thing about the auto repair industry in general. There's incredible people. I've met amazing people in the last 11 years.
Yep.
But most of the shop owners, it's changing a bit now, but most of them were technicians who ended up owning their shop. So they've got great technical skills. They can do amazing things on the shop floor.
Yeah.
They've never owned a business. They don't know basic business practices.
Sure, yeah. It's a big step.
Right. So where I can lend that kind of knowledge to people, that's why I've done industry podcasts and written for industry magazines and stuff. Because I want to impart that kind of knowledge to them. Because it's not. Again, it's not rocket science. It's
there's no reason to gatekeep it.
You don't know what you don't know. Right. And if I can give them some knowledge, it's great.
Yeah, that's true.
So it was just getting those basic processes in place.
And
then getting the right people in place. And then after opening second and third, what you come to realize is that the hardest part of business is managing your people. Just doing it right. And it ends up that taking people in all aspects, myself included, want to be led. Right.
Oh yeah.
I want a strong leader in the city I'm living in. I want a leader for the country I'm living in. Right. And you own a business, you need to lead.
Absolutely.
And the biggest part of leadership is just taking ownership of everything. So if one of your people does something incorrectly, it's what it is you either didn't communicate the mission to him correctly, or you didn't give him the proper resources, or you didn't give him the proper training. So it's your fault. You got ownership. And the thing is, once you do that, it does two things. If you have the right people, it permeates down throughout the whole organization, and they start taking ownership of everything that they control.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And that makes everything work better. And it also identifies if you don't have the right people.
Yeah,
it identifies which people you need to replace.
Yeah, and it kind of takes out, of course, right and wrong is always there. I'm not like a wishy-washy guy. I'm sure you would guess that. But it takes the right and wrong out of it because it says, okay, well, if this thing happened, then there's only several things that could have allowed it to happen. And if you are aware of all those things, well, then it's now my job to let you know that you can't do that.
Right.
And if you didn't know those things, then now I need to go back to my desk and figure out why you don't and why it's not apparent or obvious, and, basically start all the way over with the way that I'm relaying information to the people that are important. I did have an interesting question for you that you kind of already answered it, but when you mentioned starting it, and then eventually finding the right people, how would you explain how the people were that initially were working there versus eventually finding the right people, and what changes did you make to acquire those people, to find them, or to realize who the right people were?
Hiring is very tough. A couple of the people who were not the right people left me hanging. I would say one of my weaknesses is sticking with people in situations longer than I should.
I've definitely done that time and time again. So.
Probably human nature, right?
Sure.
In trying to be a good and conscientious person, we probably do allow things that are toxic or wrong to go on too long.
Sure.
So I've had that, and
Absolutely.
even a couple of years ago, a couple guys bolted on me, right? So those people are going to weed themselves out and leave.
Sure.
Then you reach for me, it was reaching the point, being confident enough to say, okay, this person needs to get into a different situation that's better for them than where they're working for me.
Makes sense.
I'm going to survive. Even though I thought that they were. Because the other thing is, when I took over the business, that old owner, I gave him a job as a general manager. And he worked for a year before he decided he didn't want to work for somebody anymore, and he moved on. And I was under the impression he was always the key guy in the organization. I was absolutely wrong. The organization really took off after he left.
I could see that.
Because everybody was like, okay, now we can go. So, I mean, we built up to where we are now, using through the work of some people who weren't ultimately cut out to stay with the organization.
Yeah, they have their value too. I found, we've been through similar situations, and those people have their value.
Yes.
Even if some of it was painful, or
Sure.
you know what I mean. It's still like I look at it as like somewhat of a building block.
Yeah.
Even if it wasn't nice, even if it pains me to think back to that, blah blah blah. But I know it's part of the journey or whatever.
As a training guy, we know that the growth comes from pain.
That's true.
You don't learn anything from your successes. You learn stuff from your stumbles and failures.
That's very true. Yeah.
That's why I really like paying attention to the people who get out there and say, here's how I screwed up. And here's how I fixed it.
Yeah.
Not, we had a great year again. Those guys are just, it's like, okay, awesome.
We'll get into your Jocko thing a little bit too, but that Jocko part, that good thing he has, like good.
Yeah.
That's kind of what you're talking about. Is like it's information, it allows you to pivot.
Yeah.
Like you wanted to do that, but you actually are doing this instead. And then when you get back on the path, you realize that there really was no other way.
Right.
That horrible thing.
Yeah.
Was really.
It was a part of building you up to where you are today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I was thinking about, on the way over here, I was just thinking about the things we would talk about.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about in my mind, what are the most important things in life, like the top 3 things.
Yeah.
And for me, my number one is faith.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a faith in God.
Yeah.
If you don't, a faith in something.
Yeah.
Right. Because you have to have a foundation.
Yeah.
And that's the greatest thing.
It needs to be like a general acknowledgement.
Yeah. That's the greatest thing my parents gave me in my life is my faith.
Yeah.
Number 2 is discipline. I mean, and there's a reason why I put discipline number 2. And number 3 is network. And by network, I mean everything, including family.
Yeah.
Right. And the reason why I put discipline ahead of family and network is because if you don't have any discipline, you can blow up network and family.
Yeah.
So if you put that first and you don't have the discipline, you can take them down or really hurt them. Right.
That's true.
And you think about everybody who is successful in any walk of life, including the ones where we tend to think there's no discipline, music, art, people with tragic.
Yeah.
They had discipline in their area of expertise.
Yeah.
Everybody who's successful in some way has done it through discipline.
Yeah.
And
that's good.
It's so important.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that it's hard to really do anything without having, that being your base, and everything else is built up off of it, like.
And when Jocko says, something messed up and you didn't get it good.
Yeah.
That's discipline of just being able to say, I'm back tomorrow, I'm hitting the gym again, Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And his point is that every other thing that you want to do that's natural, it's a natural emotion. It's just it's a usual response for a human being. Generally isn't the way, like when you settle down after a couple of days of freaking out, or when you took it out on someone, or when you punished yourself for 48 hours and you just you're just tearing yourself down. You realize that you shouldn't do that. You're kind of getting ahead of all that shit.
Yeah.
You're not just thoughtlessly just going through it. And I like that, man.
Yeah.
I feel like, I'm sure you would agree, but as soon as you begin that thought process, over time, you get better and better at it every year or every month or every time something bad happens at correcting. Like even today, I hit you up before the podcast, say, hey, you got a locksmith?
Yeah.
And a lock broke, right?
Yeah.
Throughout my workout today before you got here, there's periods of that workout that I didn't want to do it. I wasn't happy. I was spiraling, and it's just a lock, but I caught myself in the middle of my workout. I was literally belt squatting, or the belt squat, right?
Yeah.
And I said, just calm down, man. I said, it's just a lock. It
just
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Your podcast, Andy's still going to be good. Like your whole day's fine. It's Sunday. You get to hang out with your mom and your wife afterwards, and just everything's fine, man. And I don't think I would have done that quite the same way about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I'll probably have been real pissed, stressing about it, getting more gray hair, just trying to get a heart attack,
Yeah.
And it's just so pointless. It's just so ridiculous, so I'm trying to really strive away from that. And I wanted to ask you too about our workout here together.
Yep.
Because you came in, did a training session with me. We kind of tried to put some new stuff in front of you, or just different approaches and things like that. So I wanted to ask you kind of what you thought about your workout here and just working out in the gym. because you were part of the podcast in August. So you got a taste of me and the podcast, but wanted to see what you thought about the gym itself. And you said there were some similarities, I think, to the gym that you go to in Texas.
Yes.
But I just wanted to see what your takeaway was, because it is kind of a strange spot and it's not atypical. And
yeah. I love this setup because it's raw. I try, first of all, in terms of working out, I like change.
Yeah.
I hate change, but I know that it's good for me.
Yeah.
And so I really do like to get different inputs and throw different things into my workout routine. I try not to say that I have a routine, because your body gets used to routine.
Absolutely.
And finds cheats.
And your brain does too.
Your brain does too.
You don't even realize you're bored, but you're bored.
Yeah. Yeah. So I do like changing things up. So I really did appreciate seeing all the different ways that you had of hitting body parts and physiology that I hit in my regular workout.
Yeah.
I hit it this way, but now here's a different way.
Yeah.
And I've incorporated a couple of them into it. I said the belt squat and the curl, the TRX curls.
TRX curl.
I love those things.
Yeah, those are sick.
Yeah. So so definitely incorporated a bunch of that. And I always keep changing things, but I do really like this. I like this feel of this is the kind of place, because this place looks a lot like the Fulton shop.
Yeah, it does.
Because it's raw. It's got the brick wall. I just this is the kind of atmosphere I like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and when you walk in the door, and I get the same feeling, I've been to your shop a couple times too. It's that work's getting done in there, and there's a level of organization. It's not just a free for all, a messy warehouse, but you walk in, what you're there to do.
Yeah.
Or in your case,
and here everything's very squared away where everything is, and
we're OCD about it, crazy.
Yeah,
we have.
I saw your post the other day about the plate.
Yeah,
drives me crazy too.
Yeah, the members will go after people on Instagram and stuff, and as long as it's cordial, I'll forward it along. And we have the trainers here. We all clean our gym because it's a point of pride. We don't have anyone clean our stuff. We do it ourselves, whether it's every day or we have one day a week we deep clean. And there are trainers that vacuum, and they'll be like, "Who vacuumed last week? I want to see on the sheet who vacuumed this room, because it's not right." And I was in the room all morning working and didn't realize, and I'm like, I love that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because everyone's really invested in even the small stuff.
Yeah, the smallest, paying attention to detail.
And in your shop too, when you walk in, it's organized. There's movement in there. People in the office come right out. The phone's ringing. You can tell when a business is alive and when it's functioning, and when it's kind of
So a lot of places can fix your car.
Yeah.
Our edge in the marketplace is what's the client experience.
Yeah.
And that's where we really bring impact.
Yeah.
Same, there's a lot of places to work out.
Yep.
But what's the client experience when they come in here and then work out?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the huge thing for us is we know our clients on another level. We even know their families on another level.
That's great.
And now we're starting to train their kids.
Yeah.
And it's just repeating over and over. And after we worked out, you went to a Jocko meetup retreat.
I did.
I wanted to talk about that briefly because I didn't get a chance to talk to you about it.
Yeah.
And,
so that was in Orlando.
And I thought it was interesting that, you're retired from your other career, right? You have a business with 3 locations in Chicago, right? You live in Texas, right? So you have a lot of stuff accomplished, right? And you made it to a good spot. But you continue to work out hard, even post a hip surgery, right? And you're getting ready to do another one.
Yeah.
Continue to work out hard. Seek out people like Jocko and to go train and be around that guy. And I just, I wanted to ask you, what is your thought process behind that? And then if you could elaborate a little bit on what that weekend was like. And did you bring your son to?
I did. I brought my oldest son.
Your oldest. So,
yes.
So that was another aspect of just the dad side of taking your kid along to and he's getting that experience with Jocko, who's a next level human being, totally just on his own planet, and so I just wanted to talk to you about that briefly and kind of see why you continue to choose to do these things and put yourself in those situations, and then bring your son along with you.
Yeah. So the older I get, the more appreciation I have for every minute I have left, because I'm on the downside, right? I've reached,
I'm smiling because I realize that, and your appreciation skyrockets. Like, every minute, man. Like, I just feel like, like if I'm not happy and I'm not trying to enjoy it right now, I'm just wasting it, And
I actually talked to Jocko the first time I met him. I said, I just get how inspiring he was and everything. And there's this, and I'm probably gonna get it wrong, but there's this quote from, I'm not a big poetry guy, but there is this quote from a poem. It's rage against the dying of the light, right?
Rage against the dying
of the light.
Oh, of the light. Okay. Okay. I like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're all meeting, we're all going out the same way. And I'm just going to fight it. Not because I don't want to get old or anything, because aging is great.
Sure. Yeah.
But I am trying to squeeze everything out of the time that I have.
Yeah.
And that means in all respects, and trying to be the best friend, the best husband, the best father, everything, right? Hopefully grandfather someday.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just, I just really have an appreciation for it. I would think if I don't do everything as intensely as I can, I feel like I'm not appreciating everything I've been given, everything every advantage that everybody else has given me. That's how, to me, that's how I kind of show appreciation for all the opportunities and all the good fortune I've had in my life.
So does the hard work, going to like the gym every day, going to like the Jocko retreat, does that kind of reflect what you're explaining about like you putting that work in and continuing to find difficulty and challenge, like to be stronger so that you're better at those like goals that you're mentioning, those things you want to continue and build on? Is there a relationship there?
I think when you do something, and I've heard this a lot, other people say it, so this is not original to me, but when you do something hard every day, it makes everything else easier.
Yeah.
Yeah. True. So just challenge yourself, and, like physically, as we age, especially the age I am, everything's trying to, shed pounds, shed strength. And I'm fighting against that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to resist it. And that's the best way to stay vital, stay robust, really enjoy every moment you have.
Yeah.
And especially, like you said, I got my hip replaced,
Yeah.
It's incredible, the technology that I'm able to get a fake hip 5 years ago, and now I'm squatting what I was before.
Yeah.
So I'm very thankful for the guy who did that. Yep. And I think that guy deserves every $1 million that he has, because he is a rich surgeon.
Absolutely.
But God bless him, man, because he's changed a whole bunch of lives.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can continue doing what you love to do.
Yeah.
And, within a year and a half, or how long it takes, like there will be a period of time where you're back in the gym, you're doing your thing, and you're relatively unaffected by it, which is
And I got to put the plug in for Dr. Richard Berger at Midwest Orthopedics. The guy is the man.
All
so
right, good to know.
Yeah.
We can all look back on that at some point. And so where can people find the book, and what kind of events do you guys have coming up, or future things to look forward to for Checked It Out, and just so that we can get an idea of what's next, because yesterday was a really big day for you guys.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to see like what was potentially coming up in 26.
So if you go to CheckedItOut.io, that's the main Checked It Out website. You can find the book. There's a link to order it there. We printed 500 copies. I'm not sure how many are left. There's enough left, so you can get them.
Yeah, sure.
We're having a pop-up with Graham Rahal Performance down in Indiana.
Okay.
That's in later June. That'll be on the website.
Is that the drive you guys do to Indianapolis, or is that a separate thing?
So that we did that drive to Indianapolis a few years ago when Porsche had sports cars together in Indy.
Yeah,
and I got to drive one of my cars on the Indy 500 oval, which is really sick. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah. So that was a few years ago. It's not an annual thing, but we are doing this pop up in I believe it's late June.
Okay.
Checked It Out will be August 22nd this year.
Okay.
So we'll mark that on your calendar. Adam has these Lincoln Common in right by the Lincoln and Fullerton.
Yeah,
He has a couple of those events every year.
2 years ago. I didn't go to the last one.
Yeah, so there's going to be a Lincoln Common in spring and I believe in fall.
Very nice.
Yeah, so just go to the Check That Out website, bookmark that, and you can see everything. And you can also see there's a lot of galleries there about previous years.
Yeah,
it's a lot of good stuff there.
Okay, yeah, and I was talking to Adam yesterday, and I think I'm going to try to have him and Hurlbert on it at some point.
Yeah, that would be a good.
I think I'm also going to try to get Dan on the podcast because he's his own thing yesterday. And I think my mom and I talked to him for like almost 40 minutes, man. And he's just so easy to talk to, and he's so into everything.
Yeah.
He's just an easygoing guy. I don't feel like I need, and all you guys, I don't really feel like I need to get to know you guys, you know, and that's what I like about doing this. Yeah. So, yeah, thanks for doing the podcast.
Yeah, of course.
We'll absolutely have you, back in the gym, when you're in town next.
Yeah.
And then we'll pick up on another podcast at some point, maybe in the summer or something like that.
Great. Thanks for having me.